Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Morning Verses with Mike. I hope your day is starting off awesome so far. I am going to maybe click in here and turn the volume down so we can have a chat this morning. So, couple reminders as I'm getting started here. I do Morning Verses with Mike every weekday morning at 6:15 a.m. Mountain. We read from the New Living Translation of Every Man's Bible, because I enjoy that translation. It keeps it kind of mainstream and easy to communicate. I see we've got some people jumping in and joining this morning already. Also, for the month of August, I'm going to be streaming Morning Verses with Mike from my personal Mike Phillips page and sharing those to Morning Verses with Mike. So it's facebook.com/Morning Verses with Mike, youtube.com/Morning Verses with Mike. The reason I tell you that is so that you could go back and watch previous episodes. If there's a verse that's speaking to you and get a perspective. Speaking of that, if you have a verse that is impacting your life, because the Bible speaks to us, kind of those one-liners sometimes hit us differently at different times in our lives, depending on where we're at both here and here, right? So if you have a verse that's impacting you, please share that in the sidebar, and I'd love to continue the discussion after the video this morning. One other thing, if you would share the video, that's one way we can get the word out, share our faith, spread the word of God. And with that, that's kind of my intro. So let's get rolling. So this morning I'm reading from Colossians chapter 1, verse 27. I'm going to give you a little perspective also. This is one of the reasons I like this in this study Bible. This was written by the Apostle Paul, Colossians was, and it says, Paul gives short and pointed orders to people here. And especially to husbands and fathers. And it says, we're to love our wives and not treat them harshly. We're to not aggravate our children so they won't become discouraged. We want to pump people up. Bottom line is what we do affects those closest to us. We need to take responsibility for our actions and also for the effects of those on others. And I think that's just a good reminder. I really do. So I wanted to share it. It says, another little note here, Christ is number one, so live like it. Just an easy reminder. So 1:27 here this morning says, sometimes I just got to find my place. For God wanted them to know that the riches and glory of Christ are for you Gentiles too. And this is the secret. Christ lives in you. This gives you assurance of sharing his glory. It's the reminder when in this, Paul's speaking to everybody. He's speaking to Jews, he's speaking to Gentiles, which really a Gentile, that was one of the things when I was smaller and I didn't know specifically, I'm just calling it like it is. What are the Gentiles? The Gentiles were the non-Jews, right? In short. So the idea behind this is that the message is for everybody. That's the short version. And in this verse specifically, where they're talking about the riches and the glory, they're talking about God's all-encompassing knowledge and love and just his control over all things, his input into all things. God comes into our life at all different points. So on a verse like this, for me, as I'm reading it, and so I'm just sharing this with you, it's a reminder that not only is the love of God all around us. We talk about that, the love of God is all around us. We can see God in everyday things. We can see God in each of these pieces throughout our lives. But not only that, it permeates you. Christ lives in you. We are made in his image, right? He is with us all the time. He's in us, encouraging us, supporting us. And he's doing that on the outside, but he's also working on our inside so that we can spread outside to others. When you're coming in connection with people, that is one of the most fundamental and simple reminders, is just love people, share the light, share the glory. I'm going to read the verse one more time. I could go on these for some time. I try really hard to keep them to like 3 to 5 minutes so people can get in, join me, watch. feel that faith, have a little conversation, and then we all move on with our day because it's early in the day. And I could go on sometimes. I get so excited about what God is doing and the faith and spirituality, and just I could go on forever. So I'm going to read the verse again and we'll close out for this morning. So it says Colossians 1 verse 27. For God wanted them to know that the riches and glory of Christ are for you Gentiles too. And this is the secret. Christ lives in you. This gives you assurance of sharing his glory. That's the biggest, that's the part that just hit me when I was, doing my study to share this verse this morning. Christ lives in you, and it gives you assurance of sharing his glory. Our job is to share his glory and his love. So thank you for getting up and joining me this morning for Morning Verses with Mike. As with every morning, please do me a favor. If you're gaining something out of these, give it a thumbs up, share the video. Let's share our faith and spread some positivity. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, 6:15 a.m. And until then, I hope today, make it amazing. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.